A new first on Channel 5 with offensive language. It's Mourinho versus Pep, the feud.
Moose sponsors evenings on Channel 5.
Good to go.
Result for Guardiola is not enough.
They both got under each other's skin.
For Barcelona, it's not a dream. It's an obsession.
I've seen him come in and kick a table over and scream and shout.
The terrible scenes, that time when it was real, toxic atmosphere.
How can you over-celebrate a derby?
Which one of them would you rather go for a beer with?
Mourinho.
Did you see him becoming the great manager he is today? No.
They don't understand the consequence what they say, the amount of death threats I get.
I'm a special one.
El puto amo.
El puto amo. Fucking boss.
Putting those two together in the same city, box office.
There was an absolute crackle throughout Manchester of what was to come.
I just thought myself this would be fun.
Respect! Respect!
Jose and Pep.
This rivalry between Mourinho and Guardiola is the greatest in football history. They're both a kind of throwback to an era when the manager was king.
Two big managers with great characters, two different philosophies, two different styles of playing football.
Intensity-wise, very similar, very detailed. Guardiola would probably think more in a solution on how can we attack in a certain way to beat the opposition. Mourinho would be result.
From afar, I wasn't a big fan. Just the way that he behaved on the side of the pitch. And then it wasn't until I first got to meet Jose Mourinho that my whole opinion changed.
He comes from a winning culture. He's never known anything different. It's a natural drive that you get from the environment in which he grew up.
Mourinho is a bigger personality. If you confront him, he would want the confrontation, and Guardiola would be the ones that, no, I'd rather not.
The Guardiola-Mourinho thing is seen as, you know, footballing good v footballing evil.
Neither of them want to be seen as a loser. So in the white heat of the week-to-week league season, they are constantly being judged and constantly being measured. 20 years from now, when we step back and we look at their CVs, they'll be remarkable.
They are winners, they want to win. They use everything they have to win, and we are talking about two of the best coaches of the history of this game, for sure.
What is the word for Talvez? Maybe we have to change some?
Probablemente tenemos que cambiar algo.
Apesar de ter sido apelidado no início da carreira de tradutor, era tudo menos tradutor.
Jose was part of this club, and he was part when Guardiola was a player, so they know each other. This is something that Pep always said. And I think that they had a great relationship when they were at Barcelona.
Everyone remembers Porto and Manchester United at Old Trafford in 2004 when he ran down the touchline.
I love that. That's brilliant, because that's what football hadn't really seen that at that time.
Prevê quais o futuro, isto é, prevê o que a outra equipa vai fazer, quais são as substituições que esse treinador pode fazer.
I'm European champion, so I'm not one of the bottle. I think I'm a special one.
Not just Chelsea fans loved him, the Premier League loved him, football fans loved him.
Along with his strong personality, he had a great sense of humour.
So I arrive here with my ego big. You know? No, it's even higher.
The Chelsea teams of Jose Mourinho were, some of them were frightening. A mix of tactically well-drilled teams, but with so much talent and speed, just physical power and presence.
They blew everybody away. Back-to-back titles. He was the special one. It's hard to argue with.
Guardiola came from a working-class family in San Pedro, a hotbed of Catalan nationalism and Catalan independence. Barcelona was the club of his life.
The legacy of Guardiola in the club is very important. Firstly, as a player, because he was part of the team that won the first Champions League of the club.
There's no doubting, at that particular time, Mourinho, with what he had achieved in such a short space of time in management, was by far the better CV.
He knew that there was a squad there with the potential to dominate the world.
Barcelona saw something in Pep which they liked.
When Mourinho was passed over for an unknown coach with 1 year under his belt, the emotion was fury.
Em sento fort, em sento que estic disposat a aquest repte i creieu-me que si no ho sentés no estaria aquí segut.
I was very young. It was quite impressive, and how he was talking to us, the confidence that he had in himself from the first day, and obviously it worked very well.
He is a strong character, no doubt, and he's very clear on how he wants the team to play and how he wants players to conduct themselves and what it means to be a part of Barcelona Football Club.
Xavi, Iniesta, Messi, we were seeing the creation of a team that in my eyes was the best team ever.
Once it clicked, we were unstoppable. And it's very similar to the impact that Mourinho had when he came into Chelsea. Guardiola said, we do not stop at 3-0. We keep going, and keep going.
We won 2-6, and I was happy to score the last goal. Obviously, it was a very important goal for me. It was my first clasico, and it was the last goal of the game, and it was an historical result for the club.
A Barcelona that had won every competition they played in. A Barcelona that were also, on top of that, were playing wonderful football, and nobody really knew how to stop that.
Very exciting moments, and that will stay for the history of the club and of our lives.
Guardiola or Mourinho, easy to say now, they probably made the right decision.
The Champions League is this slick, football-producing, money-making machine. And then you have a volcano.
We had to go by coach to Milan, so it was a crazy travel.
You know, tough luck.
Still, the feeling was Barcelona are favourites. Jose Mourinho clearly felt that there was time for revenge.
Da más de 40 años que el Inter no ganaba la Champions y creo que para muchos de nosotros era por ahí la última oportunidad.
Mourinho was doing a dirty dozen trick at Inter Milan, saying the whole world hates you, they think you're rubbish, they think you're finished. I brought you here because we're great together.
On kaže, ja ne želim da se takmičim, da bih bio fair play, da bi se pričalo o meni kako sam to dobro uradio. Ne, ja želim da pobedim, ništa me drugo ne interesuje. I sebe, tako da ja nisam znao da posjedujem još neke kvalitete, gde on, hvala Bogu, uspeo da izvuči iz mene.
There were a couple of decisions from the referee that was not good for us. We lost that game 3-1.
Inter did play better, played more energetically. Barcelona did look like a side that had, been on a Blackpool bus tour and eaten too much rock candy.
At that time, we were very confident that we can win back in the second leg at Camp Nou with our people.
We have the dream to play the Champions League final, and for Barcelona, it's not a dream. It's an obsession.
When Jose Mourinho was a translator here, an assistant here, did you see him becoming the great manager he is today? No.
Que nosotros habíamos preparado el partido de una manera y después de 20 minutos nos encontramos con un jugador en menos contra el Barcelona y sus grandes figuras. Mourinho seguía convencido de que el Inter iba a llegar a la final.
It was all of a sudden about the essence of Inter, the possibility of fighting until the last minute, to do it against the giants of Barcelona.
Y Mourinho, me acuerdo que entró corriendo al campo de juego a festejar con los hinchas del Inter que habían venido hasta Barcelona.
He had a past in the club. Maybe you expect him to be a little bit more respectful. He had also a personal reason. The club decided to go with Pep before Jose, so I think it was because of that.
Mourinho saying to everybody at Football Club Barcelona, take that. Football's got room for that. Boy, they were good into that night.
Barca odmah pustila njihove one prskalice da bi nas sklonili sa terena.
It was very tough for us because we really felt that we were a better team.
Did the best team win? Sorry? Did the best team win?
I don't know. They reached the final, so congratulations for Inter.
Once upon a time they called you the translator here. Is this one of your proudest moments as a manager?
Yes. Is
the most proud?
Yes.
Por haber ganado la Champions y sobre todo por haber obtenido el triplete, que somos el único club que en Italia que lo ha logrado.
I to oslikava, taj pozdrav sa Markom Materacem zagrlja i kroz suze, oslikava sve nas zajedno i kakav je odnos bio sa Jose Mourinho.
It meant the Real Madrid job. He'd already told the authorities at Inter that he was leaving at the end of the season. It was a beautiful way to say goodbye to Inter, a beautiful way to say to Real Madrid, look what you're getting, and a beautiful way to do that to Football Club Barcelona.
You've got to remember how things looked in 2010, that Barcelona were winning a league every year. They had this young side, they had this young coach. And so if you're Real Madrid and you've spent an absolute fortune in the previous sort of 7 or 8 years, and you look at Barcelona and you think, what do we do? How do we stop this? And so Mourinho's brought in the specific brief, you have to derail this train.
When Jose Mourinho arrived to Madrid, he felt that Barcelona were far too comfortable in their skin, in the way they played, in the way they were treated by others, and he wanted to destroy that.
The fixtures come out before the season, and the one date that everyone looks at, when's the clasico? The build-up to that game it's like nothing else is going on in the world.
Barcelona-Madrid, it's not just something around sports, it's around everything else. I mean, it's political.
It's almost Spain against what you would conceive as another country.
We Catalans are victims of a state that is carrying out political persecution unworthy of a 21st century European democracy. An interim minister who conspired to destroy our health system. Political police units that fabricate false evidence against our leaders.
They want their own independence, they want to be declared a sovereign state of their own.
Visca Catalunya, estimats.
It becomes much more than just a football game. It becomes political. It becomes all about, where you were born and what you perceive to be right and wrong. From the hotel to the stadium, we'd have armed guards running alongside the coach. The curtains were drawn, and then you just hear these objects just smashing against the sides of the window. We also saw the pictures of the pig's head thrown onto the pitch, whiskey bottles, mobile phones, golf ball. The noise, the hatred, the level of vitriol is extraordinary. Jose went in to Real Madrid at a time of real turmoil.
At that time, we were a much better team than Real Madrid.
Barcelona became really dominant, and I think Jose was brought in then to try and do something about it.
Me preocupa la construcción de un grande Real Madrid, no me preocupa el Barcelona, en absoluto.
He decided he would be what Barcelona were not. If they wanted the ball, he didn't want the ball. If they were light, he was dark. Then you get these two figures who had been friends, who become enemies, head to head against each other.
No hablo, no pienso, no quiero hablar, no quiero pensar del Barcelona en este momento.
And all of a sudden, there was much more noise.
Si soy odiado en Barcelona, problema de quien me odia, no problema mío.
I just thought myself this would be fun.
That first game, I remember watching, it was a chastening experience. They were hammered from start to finish. And he knew he had to do something.
I think he came up against one of the best footballing teams in the history of the game.
He knew he couldn't outplay Barcelona, so then you have to do something else.
The whole world was looking at them. The whole of Spain divided into two. And the tension was something that we'd never seen before.
Awful they played each other too often. The games lacked any quality. It was all about physicality.
I mean, they were acting like a very, very small club. You can expect this from other clubs that they are fighting for relegation, but not from Real Madrid.
I thought the theatrics of both sides was awful. They were throwing themselves on the floor and rolling around in every opportunity. The players hating each other.
You could see the venom that Jose Mourinho had put into the veins of those players.
We didn't want to have this kind of fight, but it was happening.
The managers continually arguing with each other. They both got under each other's skin.
The whole rivalry, and it probably escalated a little bit too much when we saw these El Clasicos and they got drawn in the League Cup and in the Cup and in the Champions League, and all of a sudden we'd had, what, 7 Clasicos in the space of 18 months or whatever it was, and it was just too much.
The cup final was lost by Barcelona, a very tense encounter. Not the greatest of games, Ronaldo goal, and that left the side quite down, logically. So they couldn't beat them in the league, they were beaten in the cup, and then there was the Champions League semi-final.
Obviously, after a loss like that one, you can have some doubts about if we were really better than them.
Mourinho chose to mock Guardiola.
Entramos en una nueva era, que es la era de un tercer grupo, que es el grupo que en este momento solo tiene una persona, que es él, que es criticar el acierto del árbitro.
Mourinho sees Guardiola as tired and harassed, and I think Mourinho very shrewdly was trying to make the season draining and tiring and distracting.
The top of the iceberg was when we went to the Champions League semi-final in Madrid.
What Jose wants is your reaction all the time, and he will still keep throwing little stones until you just go like, stop!
He went to that press conference and he launched that message.
Mourinho me ha tuteado, yo también le voy a tutear, me ha llamado Pep, yo le voy a llamar José. No sé cuál es la cámara del señor José, deben ser todas estas.
He just had enough, and I think that he felt that his footballers needed a bite back, a rallying cry.
En esta sala, él es el puto jefe, el puto amo, es el que más sabe del mundo, y yo no quiero ni competir ni un instante.
El puto amo, fucking boss of the press conference, is all yours.
Solo recuerdo que hemos estado juntos 4 años. Él me conoce y yo le conozco.
He arrived to the dinner, I think, was in the hotel, and everyone was clapping.
It was a good performance by Barcelona, and it was 2 goals from Messi, and it was a fantastic second goal, one of the best goals that the Champions League has seen. Dani Alves certainly exaggerated the tackle from Pepe, but it was fair that he was sent off. The reaction of Jose Mourinho deserved a sending off. Jose Mourinho managed to have so many arguments against Barcelona that had to do with referees protect them, UEFA protects them, and authorities protect them.
Josep Guardiola é entrenador fantástico de fútbol, entrenador fantástico de fútbol, yo repito, pero ha ganado una Champions que a mí me daría vergüenza de ganarla, porque la ganó con el escándalo de Stamford Bridge. Y si este año gana la segunda, gana con el escándalo del Bernabéu.
The terrible scenes of, you know, Jose pulling Tito Villanova in the eye.
One of the most balanced men in football gets his eye pulled. Well, take the name Jose Mourinho out of that. If you saw that at school, or on the street, or in some YouTube video, you'd say, well, that person's a piece of scum.
That relentless march of Barcelona and Barcelona-ism was ended by Mourinho. And so that, negative as it sounds, that, as much as winning the league, was his triumph.
Knocked Guardiola off his throne. Winning with 100 points, that was a great achievement. I think that you win the respect by respecting the others, and sometimes he didn't.
He can go home with the thought that actually he managed to get a league title out of the best Barcelona in history.
Pep felt all the noise and all the pressure from outside of the pitch. I think that he decided to leave.
I have to charge my battery, to charge my mind, and I'm going to rest, and I will wait.
Guardiola didn't win the league and also felt under such pressure that he left. And Barcelona never really been the same since.
Pep Guardiola and Bayern was a marriage made in New York. Uli Hoeneß, Bayern president at the time, having dinner with Alex Ferguson and other people. And Uli Hoeneß convinced Pep Guardiola that he should go to Munich as his next step back into football. Guardiola, you know, was a coup for Bayern and the Bundesliga to get the most in-demand, the best coach in world football to come and coach in Munich. I don't think we've ever seen a team dominate to the extent that Bayern did. I mean, certainly in numbers, they were better than anything that's gone before them.
There's Bayern days, I went over to watch them, you know, as a football fan on numerous occasions. And even though we took over from Heinkes when they won the treble, they were a better team. They played better football.
Mourinho had this obsession, there was a mole in the dressing room, that the team was being leaked. And so he goes in the dressing room, he picks up a can of Red Bull, hurls it against the wall, where it smashes and sprays sticky soft drink over everybody. So there was this sort of moment of stunned silence.
By the time that Mourinho's reign is ending at Real Madrid, it's arguments, it's discord, it's picking fights with Pepe, picking fights with Iker Casillas, picking fights with Cristiano Ronaldo. It seemed to me to be incomprehensible. It seemed to me to be a manager in sporting breakdown, because you're paid to magnify your own assets, not diminish them, not fight with them.
You know, I was champion in every club I coach.
There's a very strange moment when Mourinho wins the title in his second spell at Chelsea. Mourinho suddenly starts talking about Guardiola.
Maybe in the future I have to be smarter and choose another country, another club where everybody's champion. Even the kid man coaching is champion in some countries.
That showed very clearly to everybody just how obsessed Mourinho was with Guardiola. I can't imagine Guardiola gave a second thought to what Mourinho was doing with Chelsea.
Bayern's big dream is the Champions League, and unlike some of his predecessors, he didn't manage to deliver that.
So he's not perfection. Perfection in football is impossible.
Every player that he's had at Bayern Munich, he's improved them. It's as simple as that. And all right, he didn't win the Champions League, but they were miles better than when they did win the Champions League.
I think by the end of the third season, he probably had worn people out.
I remember Joshua Kimmich once saying, I leave training ground every day with a headache.
He had the huge row with Dr. Müller-Wohlfahrt, who had been Bayern's doctor since the 70s.
Müller-Wohlfahrt decided to step down after decades in the service of Bayern. Later on, Müller-Wohlfahrt said that Guardiola was an insecure person.
There was the sense that there was no communion there. Things were happening and titles were won, but it wasn't just something that was enjoyable, and quite clearly decided that after the 3 years he had to move on.
What happened from Chelsea winning the title in May 2015 to when Mourinho was sacked by the club in December of that year is one of the great mysteries of his career.
I think it's difficult to understand the complexity of one of the most successful managers of all time. And perhaps that's it. Perhaps it's the inability to form those relationships anymore, where players will run through a brick wall for you.
He would go around a change room and would dig out maybe one of the biggest names in that change room, just to show everyone that just because you're the biggest name, you're not immune to having criticism directed at you.
He went through this severe misjudgment with the club doctor, Eva Carneiro. He swore at her on the touchline. Suddenly we saw the champions looking like they were in a relegation battle, which eventually was why he was sacked.
I was the unfortunate one that refereed the Leicester match, which ended his Chelsea career. He still blamed me for the sack. He was getting frustrated, and probably referees were the brunt of the frustration.
The expectation on both Pep and Jose was huge.
Man United are the team with the great history. Manchester City, the so-called noisy neighbours. There was a huge amount of investment. They were the team that were really, really on the up, and Pep was supposed to come in to take them to a new level.
When Pep and Jose arrived at the same time, there was an absolute crackle throughout Manchester of what was to come. We'd all seen the duels in La Liga. We'd all seen how they'd gone at it. And everyone was licking their lips. It had been replicated.
For the city of Manchester, having two of the greatest managers in the same city, working in the same time. One is a Manchester City, the other one is a Man United, and of course both of them generate so much expectation for everyone.
Putting those two together, they're two very different personalities in such close proximity in the same city with two clubs with that great rivalry that they do have. It didn't matter who won. It was going to be a great movie either way.
Pep, I think, started from a much stronger base. Jose had a lot more work to do from what Louis van Gaal had left him.
Mourinho was inheriting a team that hadn't qualified for the Champions League, and he still managed to bring in Ibrahimovic. He still managed to bring in Pogba. To me, I saw him as a serial winner.
The clash, Pep and Jose, it made it all the more exciting because they clearly don't like each other. But they're winners, they haven't got to where they are in their careers without having that hunger to get over the line. And they're ruthless. Jose, Pep, head to head, it doesn't get much better than that.
I need the right winger.
mean, don't doubt that there's a hard side to Pep Guardiola. I mean, Joe Hart was a hero at the Etihad, and he immediately dismissed him.
Joe was an unbelievable goalkeeper for us. He was one of the best goalkeepers that ever played in the Premier League. It was the beginning of his time at City, so it couldn't have been personal. It's the nature of the business.
I mean, for all the players, when you got a chance to work with one of the best managers, obviously it was so exciting. He's friendly when you talk to him. He's very angry when you don't work hard for the team.
He's very clear in what he wants. The easiest way for him to bring his message across is if someone is not following the rules, is to put him on the bench and let someone else play.
There was a huge anticipation for different reasons. Guardiola had never managed in the Premier League before. There was a fascination with how his style would adapt. With Mourinho, the story was slightly different in that he'd had such a sour ending at Chelsea. So his narrative was more about how he could come back for a third time in England.
First season, neither of them near winning the title. Manchester United did win the Europa League and they did win the League Cup.
For me, it's the most important trophy of my career. It means a lot for the club and for the boys and for the supporters too, I believe.
In Pep's first season, it just wasn't working. It was like, well, is this man going to adapt to English football? Got it right second season in spectacular fashion.
The squad changed to what Pep Guardiola wanted of them. And the consequence of it was the best football that the Premier League has ever seen.
We did the 100 points. There seemed to be an inner drive that was just constant. I felt that from the beginning to the end, I was part of a team that did everything right.
The City players, I think, were pretty jubilant in terms of rubbing United, their players' noses in it. And Jose took exception to that. By all accounts, I think he got a face full of milk.
How can you over-celebrate a derby? It's still a bit too fresh. The milk hasn't quite dried up yet for it to be fully told. It's a lot about nothing, but it was it was hilarious at the time, actually.
But maybe it was because he knew, he knew City were the dominating team in Manchester at that particular time, and it wasn't sour milk, it was sour grapes.
City would have won the league that day. It would have been excruciating for United fans to see that. But, the next home game we went and lost to West Brom, so that kind of summed it up.
For whatever reason, he wasn't backed over certain players in any football club when things are not going well and certain people are not happy. Leaks start to happen.
I think that some care more than others.
Do you want to say who?
No.
The more Manchester United struggled, the more stories came out.
All the fallouts with senior players, Pogba, the big star signing, Mourinho signing, and the public fallouts really. And he lost the dressing room.
There was words said in the dressing which he questioned my integrity, and he was questioning that I'm doing everything against Man United because I hate Man United and blah, blah, blah. So for me, to say something about questioning the referee's integrity in the Premier League is a bit harsh.
We are very disappointed with the result, but I'm always very disappointed with the two decisions of Mark. But obviously, even the best referees, they can make mistakes, and they made a big one.
And I said, I'm going to get death threats again. What do you mean? They don't understand that the consequence of what they say, the amount of death threats I get. Just sometimes I think he crossed the line.
The criticism Mourinho has got to him.
Do you know what this means? 3-0, but also mean 3 premierships, and I won more premierships alone than the other 19 managers together.
I think wanting to remind people that, no, I'm still Jose Mourinho. You know, even though I'm not doing it now, I'm still that guy.
Respect, man, respect.
He saw Pep's City, the brand of football City were playing, and knew they weren't going to get near that.
They weren't really rivals in the sense that Manchester United just weren't good enough.
Thank you, Jose.
Great seeing you.
Guys, be a Sunday embargo today, so 10:30 Saturday evening.
Hi, Pep. You had a very intense rivalry with Jose Mourinho when you're both in Spain. That rivalry didn't materialise here in Manchester.
I'm sorry for you.
we're
I know you are looking forward, but I'm sorry. So.
Why? First of all, obviously, I'll introduce you to our new head coach, Jose Mourinho.
Welcome to Tottenham. Welcome back to the Premier League. Great to have you back.
Thank you. Thanks so much. This is my life, and this is where I belong, and this is what really makes me happy.
We're mourning the loss of that rivalry.
Yeah, I know that.
But why do you think that didn't happen? Why do you think that rivalry that you had, because you were the most two high-profile clubs in Spain, arguably the most two high-profile clubs here. Why do you think that didn't happen?
I don't know. Maybe we are older and more experienced, and it was not. I don't know.
I remember more the 3 years that we fought on the same side, working together in the same club. I remember more that than what people can think about rivalry.
Just coming back to Jose again, Pep. Sorry.
Guardiola is king. Mourinho's battle is no longer with Pep Guardiola. It's with other teams to get into the top 4.
At the moment, I think at Tottenham, he's really sort of, to an extent, he's fighting for his reputation, for his future. Because if it goes wrong at Tottenham, where does he go from there?
Always I had incredible respect for he has done for the football, for his career. So always I tried to be in my side. Only I can say. So sometimes situations happen. It's part of our job, and that's all.
His managing career demands respect. It's not become a bad manager overnight.
To be so successful in so many different countries, in so many different leagues, that's phenomenal.
On any given day, he is capable of beating any manager, including Guardiola.
Barcelona's and Real Madrid, Inter and Barcelona in Champions League, City and United, now Tottenham and City. That's just one more chapter.
It's unfinished business. It's absolutely unfinished business.
And there's more sport coming up on Channel 5. Get a roundup of all the latest from across the pond in NFL End Zone Sunday morning at 10:30. But next tonight, it's Gallagher Premiership Rugby Highlights.